And gentlemen, welcome back. As we're rounding out and nearing the end of Algebra 1, we're going to be looking at our second family of Goal 6, which is getting us used to manipulating data. Most particularly, what we're getting used to is our way of finding our different centers, meaning we either have our mean, we have our median, or we have our mode. Each of these have a different kind of meaning. So median, for example, is your middle number. Of course, that's in a sorted list. Mode is your most repeated number. And then mean, of course, is the fancy word for your average. So we're going to start actually with the easiest to kind of look at, which is mode, because nothing matters for that particular problem. It doesn't matter if your list is sorted or unsorted or weighted or unweighted. So looking at mode, and we're going to zoom in. Let's see here, find the modes plural. So we're getting us used to the fact that there might be more than one. Mode is the most repeated. I'll rewrite it over here. So you're looking at your biggest gains, most repeated. So let's see here, 19 comes up 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Are there any others? Let's see, 16 comes up 1, 2, 3, 4 times. 16 is another mode. Let's see here, 20 comes up twice, but that's not as big, and 17 only pops up once. So for this particular answer box, if we had a little box that we would be putting this in, we would put 16 and 19. Over here, what's the mode of this set? This one's quite a bit longer. Let's see here. 17, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. 18, 19 again. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. 18, how many is twice? 16 is 1, 2, 3. Not enough. All right, so for our answer box here, we would have 17 and 19 for our modes. And we're starting to see the pattern here. We're looking for the numbers that are most repeated. Let's see here, 19 again. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. That's 3 times. Can we do better than that? 20 is 1, 2, 3 times. And that's it. So again, 19, comma, 20. Keeping note, this will be more important later in the chapter, that when I'm taking distinctions between numbers, I'm changing the angle of my crossouts. That is a handy little trick for a topic that's going to be popping up in a different video, but just keep an eye out for it. Next up, now we want range. Range is one of those ones where kids don't quite recognize what the word does, but once they do, this is really easy, because what you're doing is you're taking your biggest and you're subtracting your smallest. So let's see here. The only hard part sometimes is finding your biggest and smallest. At a glance, I can see that 5 is my smallest. All right, what's my biggest? 41? Nope, 43. So 43 minus 5, 38 is going to be our range. 38 is going to be our range. Looking over here, we'll have another example. My computer will stop scrolling. Stop, come back. All right, so what's our biggest number? 36, 56, nope, 60, nope, 61. So it's going to be 61 minus, what's our smallest number now? 33? 33, minus 33. So that is going to be 28 is our range. And you're starting to realize the reason why Goal 6 takes an average of 9 days to finish is because the math itself for each of the topics is pretty straightforward. Now, mean. Mean is your average. A lot of kids need to sort of think and remember what average means. What you're doing is you're adding up all the numbers, and then you're dividing it by the number of numbers. Okay, and we're going to take mean for a second, and we're going to work on it for a couple of different topics moving forward. So let's see here. We have 5 cats, so whatever I'm doing is going to be divided by 5. And what I now need to do is add up all of these numbers. So let me do this live in my head. 16 and 13 is 23. 23 and 11 is 34. 34 and 45 is 59. 59 and 10 is 69. 69 divided by 9. And notice how you say round to the nearest tenth, so you know coming in you're going to get a decimal. So that's going to be 13.8. Okay, not bad for doing this in my head. Didn't need a calculator yet. Next up, dividing by 7. All right, so there's 7 students total. So 14 and 10 is 24. 24 and 12 is 36. 36 and 12 is 48. 48 and 5. 48 and 5 is 53. 53 and 8 is 61. 61 and 10 is 71 divided by 7. And I'm good, but I'm not that good. What is 71 divided by 7? It'll be 10 point something. Ooh, what a mess. 10.4 is my decision maker. 4 makes me stay the same, so our answer is going to be 10.1. And this should look familiar from your middle school days. So keeping in theme with the theme of mean, keeping on point with the theme of a mean, that almost sounds like a song lyric. Now we have something called a weighted mean, which means there's going to be an extra step as we are finding our mean. So the extra thing we're going to be doing is multiplication, and let me set up how. You can see, let's see here, following summarizes the number of fiction books read last summer by a sample of 33 students. So we already know this is going to be over 33. But here's the thing, there's your number of students, they add up to 33, but this is the data that we're actually looking at. So what we're doing is we're multiplying across. So 6 students read 1 book, that's a total of 6 books. 11 students times 3 is 33. 16 times 4 is 64 books read, excuse me. So now this is what we are adding up. So we are multiplying across and then we're adding down. So 6 and 33 is 39. 39 and 64 is 103. 103 divided by 33. 103 divided by 33. Messy, but we can do that. What are we rounding to? To the nearest tenth. So 3.1. 3.1 books. All right. Another one. Now that we know what we're doing, I don't have to write quite as many notes. All I know, come back, come back. I scrolled too much. We're multiplying across. So 5 times 5 is 25. 11 times 6 is 66. 16 times 7 is, that's a good question. 112. And then 8 times 8 is 64. And now we're going to be adding. So 66 and 64 is 128. 128 and 110 is 130, 140. 140 and 25 is 165 divided by the 4t. So let's see here. We have 165 divided by 4t equals 4.125. So 4.1. There we go. That's what made it weighted mean looks like. You multiply across and then you can do your adding. And again, and especially you're going to see this in a couple of later topics in a different video, is you actually want to be able to have your numbers physically written out and to be able to write over them. So that's a subtle hint for later. And now this one. This one is a DSA question, and everyone collectively loses their minds when they read this because they're like, Miss, this is hard. But actually, it's kind of low-key not, and I want to kind of explain why. We're trying to get a mean value. So we're told that our mean, our final answer, is going to be 80. We know that there are 4 tests, so we're dividing by 4. So here's, wait, 4 tests. What score does he need on his next test? So it's not 4, it's 5. Silly Miss Dubois, wasn't reading. So how do we do this? We add it up. 780 plus 74 plus 81 plus 85 plus x, because there's our what score. Our what score is going to be our x. So let's simplify this a little bit because visually this is a little messy. 80 plus 74 is 150. Okay. 80, 8, 16, 240, 246 plus 74 is 246, and 74 is 320. So 320 plus x over 5 equals 80. So just doing this step ahead of time, for beginners especially, that will make life a little bit easier. Now, how do we solve this? Times 5 times 5. So 320 plus x equals, what's 80 times 5? 400 minus 320 minus 320, x equals 80, and that will be our final thing. Now let's streamline this a little bit because we now have a better idea of what it is that we're looking for. It's going to be x plus something. We know that our final answer is going to be 60. 4 days, so 1, 2, 3, and then our x is going to be 4. So now what is 53, 70, and 64? Let's see here, 123, 187, so plus 187. I know I'm not actually showing the math, but what I'm doing is I'm adding these numbers up in my head because human calculator. So now from here, this visually is a much easier setup than that unholy, ugly mess. So times 4 times 4. So x plus 187 equals 240 minus 187 minus 187 equals what? Let's see here, 13, I think? Yeah, I think it's 13. Maybe. Hang on. Let's double check on the calculator. My brain skittered to a halt. 240 minus 180. Nope. 187. 53. Wow. Did you see how off I was? Silly Ms. Dubois. And obviously, just because the human calculator is a human calculator, she'll still make mistakes, which means double check your work on the calculator. But there is your answer. So the thing that students struggle with, I want to make sure that we understand this, the thing that students struggle with is how to do the setup. This setup is a lot easier to remember. And that way, the only thing that you need to do before you do your setup is adding up whatever numbers they give you. So think of it as a generic setup. It is x plus your sum of these numbers divided by, yada, 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 yada. And that, I think, so far, when I've explained it to students in this way, that visually makes it a little bit easier for them to wrap their heads around. Next one, oh look, mean again, only this time it's median. And this one, there's no ever-loving way for Ms. Dubois to wrap her head around all of this math. Because here's what's going to happen. You are going to go through the effort to find the mean and median of your mean and median, Ms. Dubois, know what you're writing. Mean and median of your first list, and then you're going to do the mean and median of your second list. So here's your first, here's your second. Here's what's going to happen. Here's my first list. So if I do my median, it's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Split the difference. So 733 plus 772. 733 plus 772 equals, divided by 2 equals 752.5. So 752.5. I just put it in the wrong spot. Good Lord, Ms. Dubois. 752.5. All right, but now here's the thing. Once I do, and let's do the median for the next one. So do I need to move my calculator? No, I don't. So 632 plus 674 plus 714 plus 733 plus 772 plus 839 plus 932 plus 984 equals. And how many numbers are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So divided by 8 equals, our mean is 785. So 785 985. So that's my first list. Then look what they do. Suppose the 984 gets crossed out. And you can see the transparency because I can't make this go away. And then it changes to 840. 840 would fit in where? It's now going to fit in here, 840. What I'm doing, since somebody's going to ask, is I know this list needs to be sorted for the median. There's my new list. Now I have to find the mean and median again. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then split the difference. And it ends up being the same thing for this one. So 752.5. And I'll stop there for a second because watching me physically input something into the calculator is just painful. Here's what's going on. Did my median change when I moved my numbers? No, they didn't. It stayed the same. Did the mean change? Yes, it is. I know for a fact because my new number is smaller, it's going to be decreased. And then I have to go through the effort of finding my new median and then subtracting. That's what I need to do here. So another one, for example, I'll give you guys this setup. Again, you have to be find, mean, and median twice. That's what you're doing for this. So for example, here's my first list. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Split the difference. So 987.5. Median is 987.5. And our other median will be what? What do? We move the 815 and we give it a 965. 965. New median. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Splits. 987.5. Now they're being a little cheeky here because both examples I pulled, the median stays the same, but don't automatically assume that that's going to happen every single time. Sometimes the median really does change, so keep that as an FYI. And then I have to go through the effort of finding the mean of the first list and then the second list, and I'll spare you guys the effort of doing that. But that ultimately is what this topic is looking for. And then I think we have one more topic after this. Choosing the best measure to describe data. Experience tells me that this tends to be an annoying one for some students. It's hard to sort of explain it per se. This is one of those ones where like reading and interpreting and sort of reverse engineering is kind of a thing. So let's literally, I'm going to do this live. I haven't read these yet, so let's look these up each time. Each member of the football team was asked to report the year he was born. So here's automatically a question I'm asking myself. Can I get a year that is like 1962.5? And the answer to that is no. So this definitely is going to not be mean, and I'm willing to lay money it won't be median because you can have, because the second question you ask is, can multiple people be born in, say, 1985? Yes, multiple people can be born in 1985. So that's what mode is going to be done. Here, they don't even give you that much. They just sort of give you a list. So class 9 students following scores on the midterm. What measure can best be used to summarize the data? So if these are scores, when we're looking at test scores, what do we look at? Do we look at the average or we look at the median? We look at the average, so we're going to be using mean. In the past 9 days, following numbers of email advertisements, which measure would be summarize the data? And again, you're asking yourself, can you do 40.5 ads? No. So this is going to be a median. That's what you're looking to be doing here. All right? Next one. Let's see here. The following people attend the last 9 screenings. What measure can be used to summarize the data? So can you have a 0.5 person? No. So this will be a median. The readers of the children asked to name their favorite animals. This one isn't even numbers, so you know automatically the thing that you're going to be doing is mode. 10 members, and then can you have like $0.5? Yes, you can. So this is going to be mean. So the 2 questions you ask is, can you have a 0.5 Okay, and then can you have multiples? Those are the two questions you're kind of asking yourself over and over in the context of this topic. That's the best advice I can give. Explaining it that way tends to make it at least a little bit more bearable for students. So that now is everything that we have learned in how to manipulate data for statistics. We are now officially halfway through Algebra 1 Goal 6, and I will see you in the next one. As always, stay happy, stay healthy, stay safe.